All right, so in this video, what I want to do is I want to tell you the 5 mistakes that people make and then give you one very easy, non-technical way of measuring the effectiveness of AI in your business that you can use. And you do not need a data science degree, you do not need any fancy tools. It's just a different way of thinking about measuring the effectiveness of AI. Okay, so let's jump in. And the first thing I want to do is what are we actually talking about here? Like, what is good AI versus bad AI when we're talking about rolling it out within your business? And I think the way I think about it is strategic velocity. So organizations can kind of sit somewhere on this chart, right? Like, think about it right now. Where does your organization, where does your business fit within here on this chart, right? We've got people who are sitting here in the money pit, right? Like, obviously they often think that AI is a great thing. They're AI early adopters. They're people who are on LinkedIn talking about AI all the time, right? They traditionally kind of might be seen as leaders in the pack, but actually they're just burning money, right? They're spending lots of money on tools. They're not being incredibly effective. They're not turning this AI usage into any kind of real impact. And so the investment goes down, but the effectiveness does not necessarily go up. And we see a lot from these kind of organizations, often very big enterprises who want to profit off the idea that they are now AI first, just slap AI on their product. They're in the money pit here, right? And this only lasts for so long until you run out of money, right? And then things change very quickly. Often when we see AI layoffs, or what are known as AI layoffs, where people go and they say, oh, because of AI, we're laying off 2/3 of our workforce. Often what we're seeing here is not that AI has made them 2/3 more effective and so they can get rid of those staff. What we're seeing is that they have spent so much money trying to invest in AI and not quite getting a return that they need to lay off that many people within their workforce just to recoup the losses, to further double down on their AI investments, right? So we want to avoid this as much as possible. Now, next one here, it's far less catastrophic for the business. It's where most people actually sit, which is in the grind, right? So what the grind is, when we think about it, is you're investing a little bit and getting a little bit of benefit. Investing a little bit, getting a little bit of benefit. So maybe you sign up for ChatGPT, you use it, you get some benefit, but you're not there's no transformation here. You're slightly more effective than you were before, but when you consider the idea that you're paying $30 or $40 a month for ChatGPT, maybe you're a bit up, but also you're a bit down. And maybe you have ChatGPT and Google and Claude, plus now you're paying 3 times as much for your Canva subscription because they've embedded AI, and maybe you're a bit down on your investment rather than a bit up, right? And so this is the zone where we need to break out of, right? So the money pit, great, those organizations are there. They need to have a come to Jesus moment where they get out of that and then they get into the grind. Now, if you're in the grind, that's great, because all we need to do is get from the grind into the breakthrough zone. This is when we actually start to integrate or roll out AI in a very staged capacity, right? We do it in a methodical way. That means that we're investing and getting benefit, investing and getting benefit, always more benefit than the investment. And once we've nailed that, we enter the AI flywheel. And so the actual what good looks like here is getting into this AI flywheel where, for a rule of thumb, if you've got a workforce currently, maybe you've got 5 people, maybe you got 100 people. But as a rule of thumb, you're in the AI flywheel when your team of 5 is acting like a team of 15, right? If they're producing the output and hitting the targets of a team of 15, you've nailed AI. Another way to think about it, you've got a team of 100, right? 3x that. If your 100 people is competing with organizations of 300 people, then that's what you're nailing, right? Now, we can't measure that in real time. That's not how to measure the effectiveness of AI, but that is the goal. That is what we're aiming for, right? Because you actually get dual benefit here when you're getting more output from a smaller amount of people who are incredibly aligned, right? So if you've got a team of 10 and they're operating as a team of 30, now you get all of the output from those extra people, but also because you don't actually have 30 people, your communication tax goes down. Right, so you've got an organization of 30, they have to have so many meetings just to keep everybody aligned. That's a tax that they have to pay that you don't. Smaller teams who are more effective don't have to pay that communication tax, and so they can actually run faster. right? So that's what good looks like. That's what we're looking to do. We're getting out of the grind and into the flywheel. Now, as we're tracking our progress, we're rolling stuff out. These are the 5 mistakes that people make, right? And don't get overwhelmed by the don't get overwhelmed by just how great my backend production process is here. But basically we've got these 5 sticky notes here, right? The first one is people just collect tools, right? Do we have tools that, do we have ChatGPT, and I've got Claude, and I've got Gemini, and I've got Copilot, and I've got this, and so people are just like, oh, I've got 15 AI agents. How many AI agents have you got? And it's like, that is not great. One, because often those things give cost. They also have learning curves. And 2, it doesn't really tell you anything about whether you're being more successful or not, right? So collecting tools, it can be easy to kind of fool yourself into this idea that you're being productive or you're a thought leader in AI just because you have tools, but that's not going to get you anywhere. Second one, which is heavily related, is the idea that you're tracking AI output, which can often be tracking AI slop within your organization, right? So how much code is AI producing? What percentage versus humans? Are we creating 15 times the reports than we used to? Or people creating Word documents like crazy because getting ChatGPT to generate them, right? They're measuring the rollout of AI based on essentially the sheer weight of the output that is being generated. Again, go into, if you ask them from scratch, is that a good way of measuring AI? No, of course not. I think most people would know that intuitively. But the mistake that they make is that you can just feel it. You're like, oh, we're quite an AI organization because AI is producing all of this stuff around us. Now, I actually remember back in the early days of IBM, they would literally, quite literally, reward their developers based on how many lines of code they wrote. And this is exactly the same, right? It does not optimize people to be efficient. It optimizes them to use AI, which is 1, expensive, and 2, can just add chaos, right? So we should not be tracking the output. The next one is speed and time metrics. Now, we're actually kind of getting closer to some kind of desired outcome here. Speed and time metrics aren't bad, but they're just, I think they're unrealistic. They don't give us a good sense of what is actually going on underneath the hood in our business. So let me give you some examples. The first example is, what does saving time actually tangibly look like, right? If you were to look at your team of people, or even if you were to just look at your daily workflow, what does time saved look like? How do you know that that's happening, right? All of these different tools, they'll give you save 50 hours, saved 100 hours, save this, save that. That's fine, but what does that look like? You can't measure it. No one's sitting there doing less. No one's going home early. At the best case, maybe they're picking up more work, and so you're measuring the extra work that they're picking up in that saved time. It's a few leaps, and no one is tracking it. No one is sitting down, starting a stopwatch when someone used to do the task, saying, oh great, that took 15 minutes, that took 5 hours, right? No one's starting and stopping the stopwatch. And then they put AI in and they start and stop the stopwatch and tracking the delta between those two things. And even if they did, how long something takes, how many tasks have you actually got in your organization that are literally the exact same every time you do them, right? Even support calls, which are the thing that the forward thing that you can do, every support call is different. Some are very short, some are very long. How do we measuring how many agents were fired? It's incredibly abstract. It's how most people sell or market their product, which is why we hear about it so much. Actually think about it. How would you go about measuring time saved within your business? You're not going to be able to do it. It's a terrible metric. The next one is that we just make it way too complicated, right? So we've got dashboards, we've got different metrics, in fancy spreadsheets that AI has probably helped us generate for trying to track the productivity across our various different teams. We've got task management boards and processes. We've got Asana and Monday.com. We've got all of these different sources of data, and then we run a report on that to try and backwards engineer a metric that then kind of means nothing. And then the last one here is outcome-based metrics. Now, this is the gold standard. Team of 10 acting like a team of 30, or a team of 100 acting like, or a business of 100 acting like a team of 300. Like that's the outcome that we want. And even more tangibly than that, like, are we increasing revenue? Are we increasing profit? Are we delivering customer NPS results better? We can measure. The problem is that they are slow and they are backwards facing, right? So we can know looking back how well we have achieved those goals. We don't know in the moment. They're not fast enough for us to actually know whether we're doing a good job, we're investing in the right places, right? They're backwards facing. 100% we should be talking about that kind of stuff more, but this is a 6, 12, 24 month story. It's not a day-to-day story. Now, that actually brings me to this of generative AI implementations in enterprise fail or have no measurable impact on profit and loss. In this for you, in terms of like problematic ways to measure AI, has a direct benefit on profit and loss within the 3-month period, the 3 to 6 month period in which this was measured. Literally nothing. You wouldn't do anything in an organization, particularly if it was, larger than maybe 10 to 15 people, right? The success was within 3 months. It had directly improved profit and loss in a meaningful way. Like that is such short-term thinking to make it almost irrelevant. It's interesting in terms of like telling organizations what your investment cycle looks like, right? If you invest in AI, are you going to get benefit on your profit and loss within the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? Probably not, right? It's what our survey tells us, but it doesn't tell us how we should do it to make sure that we're getting out of here and into here, right? They're down in the money pit. They are wasting money. Not going to do anything to profit and loss apart from make it worse. And some of them are going to get from here and go to there. And this top level number that is all outcome metrics based doesn't tell you anything, right? So I've talked a lot about what doesn't work, but I am going to tell you exactly what does work. And that is a velocity metric. So what is velocity? So we think about this idea of we've got speed, which could also be thought of as productivity, but speed to a destination or to a plan, to a strategy. So how fast are we getting from here, from A to B? So velocity is our current speed at any given point in time on our way to this destination, right? Is the single number velocity that you want to be tracking within your teams, across teams, and at your business level, right? How fast are you getting to your goals? And there's 2 components of that, right? And when we talk about like improving productivity or saving time, we're talking about speed, like how much people can totally do. Like there's no wording there about like, is it getting to our goal any faster, right? Like, are we doing that in a tangible direction? So what we want to look at in terms of velocity is alignment. We want to first talk about speed, and then we want to talk about to what. We want to be sitting up here in the nice green zone. Now what that means is we have a very clear picture of where we're trying to go. We have a specific vision, strategy that everyone is aligned on. Senior management, but like everyone on the team knows what we're all trying to do together. So we're looking for high alignment. And then what we want to do is like, how many tasks in a given day are we doing to further out to that particular goal? And so if you're doing a large amount of output, you're working fast, you're incredibly productive in an aligned fashion, right? So everyone's working towards the same set of goals. This is what we call high strategic velocity, and this is the green zone. All we can really control, right? We can't control how fast we get to this destination or this goal, right? We can say, oh, we'd like to get there in 3 months. We'd like to get there in 6 months. We can get from one place to another. But what we can control directly is our velocity towards the goal, right? Are we moving towards our goal faster this week than we did last week? As managers, that is the only thing we can tangibly control with our team. So what we want to do is we want to be, if we were imagining we're flying our business as a plane, as long as we're looking at this metric and we're like, great, we're doing a lot of things towards our goal. That's the thing that I care about. That's all you need to do. And so AI can do a lot to increase your productivity speed, and it can do a lot to make sure that we're aligned around a very specific set of things. All right, so we want to implement AI here, and we want to implement AI here to make sure that we're in the green zone. Now, what does it look like? What does it feel like when we don't have strategic velocity? Well, Is we can have a very clear understanding of what we're trying to do. We can be very mission orientated, but we can be moving very slowly. Now, I don't want to say that all government organizations and all non-for-profits or all kind of large hierarchical organizations fit into this box. A lot of them do. This idea that they have a very strong mission, right? Sometimes it can get a bit varied, but like ideally speaking, they know what they're there to do. Their systems, their processes, governance structures, like all of these things are just holding them back, dragging them down, stopping them from actually getting to where they need to get to. That is what we're looking for, is this like think tank trap. Right? We know what we're doing and we just cannot get it done. We just spend so much time in meetings or talking about it or just like grinding out work. So that's what that looks like, is to just implement AI to make you more effective. It's in fact the easiest problem to solve. It's why organizations like non-for-profits or government should be implementing AI tools as fast as possible, because they know what they're doing. They just need to get there faster, right? Or more effective. That is the best way to roll out AI within those organizations. You might be very effective, you might work really hard, you are producing an insane amount of stuff. It is across 15 different goals, and every person in the organization has 15 different things that they're doing and they're trying to achieve, and none of it is actually like equaling up to anything meaningful. Is that we need to sit there and use it to be able to first understand what our goals are, and then cut out all of the other craft that is holding us back from achieving those things. So either we're implementing AI to help us get to our destination faster, like we've defined what it is, and then we're using it to get there faster, kind of clear goal, but there's like 15 other like day-to-day customer calls, fires to put out, like all of this stuff is what's dragging us away from what we're actually supposed to be working on, which is like building the business or achieving a mission. We're using AI there to gain focus and then speed up, because otherwise we're just kind of going in all these different directions. And then obviously on the other side of this compass here, we can just be in this dead zone, right? We don't know what we're trying to do and we're really slow at doing it. And like lots of organizations or teams within organizations sit there. There's just lots of people who sit here, right? So this has been a very long video talking about how to measure the effectiveness of AI. But what I want you to take away from it is that when we're measuring AI, we're not measuring technical tools, right? That is 100% the wrong way to measure this stuff. What we're measuring is velocity. How fast are we achieving our desired outcomes, and are we achieving them faster today than we were yesterday? So I have got so much more content about how to roll out AI and implement. So there are lots of ways that we can achieve this. So there are lots of ways, depending on where your business sits, to actually achieve your velocity very quickly. So they're 2 or 3 conversations and 1 tool away from being in this green zone. And so check out our account. I make content about this every day. But reach out, give us a call, jump on, and I can help you navigate.